Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Last week I was in Berlin at the Technik Museum and I was super excited to step into a very old and original goldsmith workshop. I was also able to try sandcasting for the first time and use the 100-year-old technique called Guilloche. I hope I pronounced it correctly. And I found their organization Artis Factum or Artis Factum while searching for other goldsmith schools in Germany and discovered them accidentally on social media. And so I immediately texted them and asked them if they offered some workshops. So yeah, there it was. So that was my first time seeing the whole production of jewelry, and although I already kind of knew this before, but it became more clearer for me there. So each production step is actually its own separate job. What do I mean by that is, if you create jewelry, you have the person, a jewelry designer who designs everything, and then you have the person who has to cast it, or a goldsmith who builds that jewelry. And then either if you want to have it in color, for example, you need an person who knows about enameling, I hope I pronounced it correctly. And then you would also need a stone setter. And it's really like a own job, because these people would spend like the whole lives really studying this craft. They really divided all the production into like a space, kind of like this was stamping and this was like a metal forming, and they all had to separate spaces. There's a stone cutter who literally does nothing else but setting stones, or a guilloche master who spends like his entire career using these fascinating old machines that I'm going to show you to engrave boxes, watches, and a cigarette box. So when I started making jewelry, there was so many paths actually pulling me in 1,000 directions. With time, as I started discovering more about jewelry making and manufacturing, I began to really realize that my search would be endless, because there are so many techniques, and I feel like most people focus, at least at what I've seen and from other people, is that most people just focus on one or two techniques and then dive deep into them and starting to experiment. And I think the goal is to become like really good at it, and hopefully, even though it's like super hard, I feel like, and to kind of discover something new with the technique. But yeah, I think for that you need like to have a huge passion and also immerse yourself in it like every day, and really going to your workbench and then doing the basics and then coming up with new ideas. So when I was there, I was, like I said, super excited to see all the tools, especially the stamps they had. So I was like really looking into that, but the machines were huge, so I couldn't use the machines, but I was looking in their library. They had these different stamps, and you could even stamp rings, what was really nice. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time, so I only had 3 days, but I'm definitely considering going back to Berlin to use the stamps and see how it works. They have like different old machines, but they're like really, you need some introduction to use them on their own. I think at the beginning, the woman who works there told me, they would watch me a couple of times till they really let me like using the machines alone. So it's really dangerous to use them, because you have to kind of like pull, and there's like, she told me one story that one of the very old goldsmiths there lost their fingers because of that, like in the first year, because they weren't careful, and so the stamp cut their fingers off. I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to say that on the internet, but yeah, that's what happens. So it's very dangerous, and you have to be careful. Yeah, it was also super cool to finally do some casting myself, because before that I would only send all my wax pieces to the caster, who would cast them by putting them on a tree and casting multiple pieces at the same time. But with the sand casting, it takes much longer, because you can only cast one piece at a time, and only one piece that are a bit stronger, since you have to really like hammer the sand so it's pretty solid. So you have basically this metal frame, and then you have to put sand in it. I think they mix it with like oil or something. It's like not the normal sand, it's more like wet sand kind of thing, and then you hammer it like so you can hold the metal frame without the sand like falling out of the frame. So, and then you do that, you put in your ring or jewelry or wax, whatever you have, it has to be solid, and then you put the other metal frame on top, and then you put sand on top of that, and then you have to hammer it again. That's why your casted piece needs to be a little bit solid, otherwise it will break if you hammer it. So yeah, and I feel like sand casting is kind of like film photography for me. It's pretty slow, the process, like just one piece at a time, and I guess it's like very similar to analog photography, because you also take one picture and then you have to kind of like adjust, and you definitely slower than digital photography. Yeah, it also has a charm because of that, because you really take your time with each piece, like one by one, and you also have complete control of the whole production, from creating the wax to casting and then to finishing it. That definitely makes the jewelry very special, I feel like, and gives you also the opportunity to ensure that the quality meets your standard. Yeah, and then next I tried the Guilloche. Guilloche? Oh my god. Guilloche? Oh, I have to yeah, Google it. Yeah, I tried the Guilloche and it was a really fun experience. But to be honest, after the first day, my right thumb and my left arm hurted so much while making it, because you need to really push the engraver so it cuts deep into the metal. And at the same time, you have to crank the wheel so the engraver goes up and engraves the plate. So the wheel was so hard to crank, and to create a pattern you have to use all these different levers and buttons to create a sequence, and also to maintain it so you can keep the pattern. And yeah, and when I tell you that I got distracted sometimes and used the wrong lever, suddenly getting a stroke or like an error in the middle of my pattern, yeah, that was pretty annoying. So I could hardly imagine how it would be for like a master working on a custom piece, like on precious metal, if he makes mistakes. Even though I don't really think that he will make a mistake, but who knows? I mean, you start somewhere, so yeah, and I mean, it's not reversible. So I think that's why these techniques for me are really fascinating, because it takes so much time and dedication to learn them, and it's a slow process, and I feel like you have to really love it to dedicate your time, like dedicate or do it for 40 years or 50 years. So and the same goes for sand casting or casting in general. Like, there are so many things to consider and to take care of, and to be honest, I'm not sure if that would be my career path, but I'm very glad I could try it out. The most fun part was being surrounded by people who love making jewelry and learning from all their stories and experiences. And some came from Munich, some studied in London, some came from Berlin, and one even came from America. So it was really interesting to see how they earn their living as a jewelry maker, and also what's important to them. Like I feel like the term jewelry making or making jewelry, even though I use that a lot, it's actually really broad. Like, you can literally just focus on repairing jewelry, or create a business like me and sell jewelry, or you can be more artistic and join competitions around the world. And I see many jewelers take that route. Like when I was in Italy, like when I studied in Italy, the school would like really promote that path. Like they would introduce us many competitions around the world and to participate in them. And also when I was in Berlin, I met some people who would do that and who would really participate in these contests. For me, I think it's a very scary thing to do so, and I'm probably like a coward or very cautious to voluntarily like set myself up for all this roller coaster and let others judge my work. I mean, if I have a business and sell jewelry, they also kind of like judge my work, but it's not, I think if you do it a while, you get used to it. Like if people reject you, it's not just like a numbers game, but I feel like you have to invest like a lot, and it's very conceptual. Like you have to really evolve as an artist, and I think I like that too. But for me, I feel like I would go another route. You can also get discovered by galleries and business owners who would like to present your work in their spaces. So that's really nice if that happens. And I think one girl in Italy, she also won something, and it was really cool, and she was presented on the website. And so if you get like discovered and do really good work, like I could imagine being like very happy and proud of myself if I would win in one of these contests. So yeah, like you never know, maybe I would do it at one time at one point in my life. So never say never. It was definitely eye-opening to see, again, confirm what I knew. Like it takes so much time to understand this craft, and being very good at it, and jewelry making takes many years, and at a certain point it's good to specialize in only one or two techniques to really get into the roots of the matter. And for me, I realized that I enjoy designing jewelry much more than making, actually. Yeah, I guess the reason is that I love all the techniques and can't really choose just one. I really like to learn, and yeah, but with designing and drawing jewelry, it's everything is basically open for me, even though it's not really because I'm not making it, but I can incorporate basically every technique and in my work, and I think that that's what I really want, and I can learn from the experts like who help me bring the jewelry to life. For example, have my jewelry a stone setter or my caster, and yeah, so that's, I think, will be more my route, more designing and drawing. And since I was a little kid, I think my earliest memory about drawing was when I was 4 years old. When I was in Cambodia, I remember my parents had like this hotel, this restaurant, and in the back they had like this huge wall, and I remember I drew on the wall with this other guy. I think he wasn't same age as me, but or maybe 2 years older. He could draw like really nice, and he would draw the stick figure, but it was a rose, just like the stick figure, kind of like line art, and I tried to copy it. I think I was terribly bad, but that's like my first ever memory about drawing, so I think maybe it's more my thing. And it takes, like I said before, a whole team to create a stunning and complex piece. Since I didn't really take the traditional route, I feel like I have to put the puzzle together on my own, like little by little. It takes a lot of time, but it really excites me if I figure out something new. And what I mean by that is, like, since I didn't take the traditional route, I didn't really learn like the basics from the beginning. It's like more reading books or talking to other people and traveling to different places. Like I went to a couple museums in Paris or Berlin, or I went to many museums in Italy, and also talked to my teachers about about all different things about jewelry to just understand the word and how actually the niche functions. So with time, I really put the puzzle together, but yes, a little bit more slowly. I'm very much looking forward to returning to the Artis Factum. When I was there, I felt like they really tried to keep all these old machines alive and encourage experimentation. So if you are ever a jeweler or a student in that field, no matter where you're from, it's definitely worth a visit, and you will meet amazing like-minded people and can share your experience and learn from each other. I'm grateful and happy that I went there, but also a little bit sad that I only had 3 days. So yeah, even if you're not a jewelry maker, I think definitely consider going there just to see the workshop and the whole Technic Museum. It's incredible. So I had little time to see everything, but I think for all the tech nerds out there, it would be a great visit. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Till then, see you soon.